I want you to imagine briefly an artist that you're watching create a masterpiece. You notice that every brush stroke they use is intentional. Every color they choose is chosen with care. And once they're finished, they step back and they say, "This is perfect." What if I told you that you are that masterpiece? That the creator of the universe put the same love and care and detail into creating you? Unfortunately, most of us don't see that. We all tend to focus on our flaws and that we don't compare or measure up to somebody else. But today, I want to help you see yourself the way God sees you, as his masterpiece. So recently I was reading through the Bible chronologically, and what that means is like in the order in which things happened, okay? And if you haven't ever done that, I highly recommend that you do, because it just gives you a new perspective on like how things happened when, and maybe why something was happening during a time, or like when you're going through Psalm, you'll understand what was happening in David's life when he was writing that particular psalm. Okay, it's really cool. Highly recommend it. What's funny is I feel like I hit a wall when I hit Leviticus. Okay, and if any of you have ever tried to read Leviticus, you know exactly what I'm talking about. There is so much detail, but there was something in the detail that really struck me that I want to share with you. In Exodus and Leviticus, really, you're going to see how God is giving instructions to Moses for how to build things like his tabernacle, the Ark of the Covenant, and just how specific things were to be made. The materials, the size, the colors, everything had so much detail, which is partly why it can be a little hard to read, because there is so much detail, but it's really cool to imagine. And you can even, I don't know if you know this, but you can even like look up online how things looked according to those speculations. I think that's really cool. If you take those, put them into ChatGPT, right? And it will like create a graphic for you based on the dimensions and everything. It's really cool. Anyway, side note. Anyway, so God didn't just say, "Hey, Noah, build an ark," or "Hey, Moses, build the Ark of the Covenant. Hey, build the tabernacle." He didn't just like give him free reign to like build some crazy modern structure or something, He was very, very detailed and specific. He wanted things done in the minutest detail that a lot of times we don't even see or focus on. And what was cool was it wasn't just the ark. God gave instructions on how to, and I say instructions like meticulous instructions on what to make the table out of, the details of the table, like what should be carved out into it, what should it be overlaid with gold, the table, the lampstands, the garments, the type of drapery, all of those details. It was intense. It was all worked out, okay? I want to read this to you, and I know that it's a lot of verses, but bear with me. I have a reason, okay? Exodus 25, 8 through 22. "Then have them make a sanctuary for me, and I will dwell among them. Make this tabernacle and all its furnishings exactly like the pattern I will show you. Have them make a chest of acacia wood, 2.5 cubits long, 1.5 cubits wide, and 1.5 cubits high. Overlay it with pure gold, both inside and out, and make a gold molding around it. Cast 4 gold rings for it and fasten them to its 4 feet with 2 rings, one on one side and 2 rings on the other. Then make poles of acacia wood and overlay them with gold. Insert the pipes into the rings on the sides of the chest to carry it. The poles are to remain in the rings of this ark. They are not to be removed. Then the ark of the testimony put in the ark of the testimony which I will give you. Make an atonement cover of pure gold, 2.5 cubits long and 1.5 cubits wide. Make 2 cherubim out of hammered gold at the ends of the cover. Make 1 cherubim on one end and the second cherub on the other. Make the cherubim of one piece with the cover at the 2 ends. The cherubim are to have wings spread upward, overshadowing the cover with them. The cherubim are to face each other, looking toward each other. I'm almost done, I promise. Place the cover on the top of the ark and put in the ark of the testimony which I will give you. There above the cover, between the two cherubim that are over the ark of the testimony, I will meet with you and give you my commands for the Israelites. Ooh, that's a mouthful. Let me get a drink. It then goes on for like 20 plus chapters of the precise and detailed way that God wanted things done. The level of detail in it is just, it's mind-blowing almost. I mean, like that was just like a hint, a hint of a hint of all the detail. If you go through and you read those chapters, those 20 plus chapters, like you're gonna see like there are a ton of details. And here's the thing, it's not just about the tabernacle and the ark and the sacrifices, because it goes into the detail on how to perform a sacrifice and what they need to do and all of that jazz. Okay, it's not just about all of those things, right? It's about how much detail God puts into all of his creations. And the cool thing is, that includes you. You were created with that kind of detail. Every person on this earth and whoever lived was created with such precise detail that we are all a masterpiece. You are God's masterpiece. I mean, he puts so much detail into us that even doctors and scientists still don't know how everything seems to function in our bodies and how our brains work, and like they know a lot. They know a lot. Okay, these days they've learned a lot, but they don't know everything, because that's how much detail has been put in. He designed us with a purpose, with thought and love, down to the very last detail. You're not an accident. You're not a random event. You are God's workmanship, his masterpiece. In fact, Ephesians 2:10 tells us, for we are God's workmanship, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared in advance for us to do. Another version says we are God's masterpiece. We are his ultimate creation, right? You see, the word workmanship here is translated from the Greek word poiema. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. I don't know. Poiema, okay? Which literally means masterpiece or work of art. That's incredible. You are a work of art. I don't know if you know this about our fingerprints, but every single person in this entire world, every single person who has ever lived and ever will live, has unique fingerprints. There are 7.9 billion people in the world right now. And not one of us has the same fingerprints. Not a single one. And that level of uniqueness, science, it just can't explain it, right? You know, I often do a bit of graphic design work in my full-time job, and there are times when I struggle to think of new ideas and new ways to do design work. There's times I go to Pinterest and I'm like, what am I looking for? T-shirt ideas. And I will comb through t-shirt ideas to kind of get the ball rolling and spark something in me to create something, okay? It's hard for my brain to even fathom the amount of artwork God has put into our fingers. Like, I can't comprehend it. Even as somebody who does design work, I'm like, that is a lot of design. Or if you consider our DNA, if you were to stretch it out, our DNA in one single human cell would reach 6 feet long. Yet it is contained in a single tiny little cell that you cannot, like, you can't see just one cell on your body, okay? But if you were to take one strand of DNA and stretch it out 6 feet long, that's incredible. Like, that's some serious detail. And let's talk about our eyes for a moment. Did you know that our eyes can distinguish between 10 million different colors? Most of us anyway. How cool is that? You know, God didn't have to give us such intricate vision, but he did. You see, our bodies are so beautifully and intricately designed, and that's just the physical side of things. There's more. God also designed our personalities, our gifts, our passions, our emotions, our purpose. There has never been anyone else made like you, and there never will be. Even twins, there are always differences. I love how Psalm 139:13 and 14 puts it. It says it beautifully. It says, "For you created my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well." You see, each of us has a specific role to play in the world, a specific purpose. Just like the tabernacle, which was designed and built for a specific function to house the presence of God, each of us has a purpose to fulfill. Whether we're aware of it or not, we have a unique purpose. We have unique gifts that were given to us by God to fulfill on this earth. Now, here's where it gets real. For many of us, we don't feel like masterpieces. We tend to focus on the flaws and the things that we wish we could change about ourselves, especially in a world of perfect social media images and Photoshop. It's easy to feel like we don't measure up. I mean, who hasn't looked in the mirror and wished they could change something? Whether it's your height or your skin or your hair color or your personality. I mean, we are our own worst critics, right? I know I've struggled with this. I don't know if you can tell in the video, but I have a lot of freckles, okay? And freckles were not always cool. Nowadays, girls are getting freckles tattooed on them, but it hasn't always been that way. In fact, when I was growing up, freckles were like ugly and dorky, like you were nerdy, okay? Can't say that I'm crazy about them now, but I definitely don't hate them anymore like I used to. And there are other things I see about myself that, I wish I could change. I'm sure you're the same way, but here's the truth. When God sees you, he doesn't see flaws. He sees his creation. When he created you, he didn't mess up. He created you exactly the way you are, and he is proud of the way you are. In fact, he even said it was good. And not just good, but very good. In Genesis 1:27-31, let me read this to you. It says, "So God created mankind in his own image. In the image of God, he created them male and female. God saw all that he had made, and it was very good. And there was evening, and there was morning, the sixth day." Something that just hit me reading that verse is, you notice it says, "So God created mankind in his own image. In the image of God, he created them." Like I was talking about just a minute ago, we see flaws and we see things we want to change, but God created us in his image. So when you're seeing things that you think are a mistake, and when you're seeing things that you think are flawed, you're saying that God is flawed and God made a mistake. And that's just not the way it is, because we were created in his image and he is perfect. I want you to think about David for a moment. Okay, when Samuel came to anoint the next king, he arrives at Jesse's house. Jesse has like a bazillion sons, right? And so Jesse calls all his sons except for David. He leaves David in the field shepherding, right? And all the other sons he brings. And so Samuel goes down through all the sons and he's like, no, 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 okay? And Samuel's like, is this it? Is this everybody? Like, I know God told me to come here, so it's got to be somebody, right? And here's what the Lord told Samuel. He says, "The Lord does not look at things people look at. People look at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart." And that's 1 Samuel 16:7. So David wasn't chosen because he was perfect. He was chosen because God had a purpose for him, and the same is true for you. And then we look at Jeremiah, okay? Jeremiah 1:5. Let me read that to you. It says, God tells him, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were even born, I set you apart." There's another verse that says, I knit you together in your mother's womb. Like, he pieced you together exactly the way he was supposed to. God has had a specific plan for Jeremiah, and he has a specific plan for you as well. When we understand that we are God's masterpiece, it changes the way we live. It not only changes how we see ourselves, but it also changes how we see others. It shifts the focus from things that we don't have to things that we can be grateful for. We begin to understand that our value isn't based on physical appearance or performance or the world standards. It's based on the Creator who loves us and created us to be his own. See, all it takes is a mindset shift. I like how Dr. Maxwell Maltz says it when talking about self-image. He says, a small 2-degree shift in mindset or self-perception can lead to a completely different outcome in the course of a person's life. Much like a slight change in direction can alter the destination of a ship over time. So if you struggle with seeing yourself as a masterpiece, as God's very good creation, you need a 2-degree shift in your mindset. You need to know that no matter how you see yourself, no matter the mistakes that you've made, the past that you have, no matter how many times you've fallen short, God still sees you as his masterpiece. You are that work of art, and he has a purpose for your life. Just like that tabernacle we talked about had a purpose, the ark had a purpose, you have been designed with a specific plan in mind. Don't let anyone, especially yourself, tell you otherwise. You are God's workmanship. You are his masterpiece, and that means that you are worth more than you could ever imagine. You are unique, you are valued, and you are beautifully and wonderfully made by the Creator of the universe. Look me in the eye when I tell you this. Right here. You are not a mistake. God did not make a mistake when making you. So the next time you find yourself doubting your worth or questioning your identity, remember, you are his masterpiece, created for a purpose that only you can fulfill. If this encouraged you today and you'd like more videos like this, hit that subscribe button. Be sure to like, comment, and share, and know that you are worthy, loved, and chosen.